Sometimes, all it takes is a little kindness and a splash of color to change a life forever. Ethan Cole sat in his shiny black car outside a small-town diner, watching the morning traffic crawl by. The sky was bright and clean after a light drizzle, and the sound of birds mixed with the hum of engines on the main street. He looked in the rearview mirror and saw his son Liam in the back seat, softly humming to himself. Liam was 8 years old, thin and pale, with big blue eyes and a gentle smile. His legs were strapped into a special seat for support. Ethan felt a mix of love and sadness every time he looked at him. It had been a long morning. They'd spent hours at the hospital in the city for Liam's physical therapy. Ethan's schedule was tight: meetings, calls, and deadlines, but he had promised to take Liam out for lunch afterward. The boy didn't speak much, but when he did, it was always about little things: colors, sounds, clouds. He wasn't like other kids. And Ethan sometimes didn't know how to reach him. He parked the car and came around to help Liam out. The diner was small and cozy, with a red sign that said, "Millie's Place." A little bell rang as they entered. The smell of fresh coffee and pancakes filled the air, and a few locals looked up from their plates to glance at the tall man in a suit, and the small boy holding his hand. A cheerful voice called out from behind the counter, "Good morning. Sit anywhere you like." Ethan guided Liam to a booth near the window. He was about to take out his phone when a waitress appeared at their table. She was in her late 20s, with dark hair tied in a messy bun and an apron covered with faint paint marks and coffee stains. Her name tag said Maya. "Hey there, sweetie," she said to Liam with a bright smile. "What's your name?" Liam looked at her shyly, his fingers gripping his seatbelt strap. "Liam," he said softly. "Well, hi, Liam. I'm Maya. You like pancakes? Or are you more of a waffle guy?" she asked with a grin. Liam giggled. Ethan was surprised. It was rare for his son to laugh with strangers. Usually people didn't know how to talk to him. They talked about him, not to him. But Maya was different. She leaned closer, talking to him like he was any other kid. And somehow that made Ethan feel something warm inside, a feeling he hadn't felt in a while. "I think pancakes sound good," Ethan said quickly, scanning the menu. "And some orange juice for him, please." "Got it," Maya said, writing quickly. "Extra syrup, right, Liam?" The boy nodded, and she winked at him before walking off. Ethan watched her go. There was something about hers, something free, like she didn't care what others thought. He noticed the other customers smiling at her, and for a moment, the diner felt like a softer place. As they waited, Liam leaned toward the window, watching raindrops slide down the glass. Ethan opened his laptop, but when he saw his reflection, his expensive watch, his serious face, he suddenly felt out of place. He looked around. A couple of men in work boots chatted by the counter, and an old lady read a newspaper, sipping tea. No one cared who he was. For once, that felt nice. Maya returned with the food, setting a stack of pancakes in front of Liam. "Here we go, champ," she said. Then she placed a few crayons on the table beside him. "You can draw while your dad eats." "Don't worry, this table's seen worse than crayon marks." Liam's eyes lit up. He took a red crayon and tried to draw on the paper napkin, but his fingers trembled. The crayon slipped and rolled across the table, leaving a bright red streak on Maya's apron. Ethan instantly reached for his wallet. "I'm so sorry, he didn't mean to," but Maya just laughed. "Hey, I like it. Add some color to my day." She looked at Liam. "You want to help me decorate it? Maybe make it look fancy." Liam's mouth opened slightly. "Can I?" "Of course you can," she said. She knelt beside him and held out a blue crayon. "Right here, this spot looks lonely. What do you think, blue sky or ocean?" "Ocean," Liam whispered. She smiled. "Good choice." Soon there were streaks of color across her apron, red, blue, yellow. A few customers glanced over, whispering, but Maya didn't seem to care. She laughed softly every time Liam's crayon slipped, and he giggled back. The sound of his laughter filled the little diner, and Ethan froze. He couldn't remember the last time he'd heard that sound so freely. Ethan leaned back, watching them. His son's face was glowing. Maya wasn't doing anything big or heroic. She was just being kind. Yet in that moment, it felt like she'd opened a door that Ethan couldn't. He felt a strange lump in his throat and looked down at his plate, pretending to read an email, when Maya stood up. Her apron looked like a tiny piece of art abstract, messy and beautiful. "There," she said proudly. "Now it's one of a kind. You, sir, are officially my designer." Liam smiled so wide his eyes crinkled. "It's pretty," he said. "It sure is," Maya replied. "You've got an artist's heart, Liam." Ethan watched her walk away, his chest tight. He wanted to say something thank you, maybe, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he just stared at his son. Liam was still holding the crayon, tracing invisible shapes in the air, lost in his own little world of color. When the meal was over, Maya brought the bill. "Did the pancakes pass the test?" she asked. "They were the best," Ethan said honestly. "Thank you for being so patient." Al shrugged and smiled. "Oh, it's no trouble. He's a sweet kid. I like when kids remind me to slow down and just enjoy the little things." As they left, Liam looked back at her and waved. Maya waved back, holding up her apron like a flag, showing him the colorful stains he had left. "See, you artist," she called out. Outside, Ethan lifted Liam into the car and buckled him in. As he started the engine, Liam looked up at him. "Daddy," he said softly, "Maya's apron looks happy." Ethan smiled faintly, though his eyes were wet. "Yeah, buddy," he said quietly. "It does." He drove away slowly, glancing at the diner in the mirror. He couldn't stop thinking about that waitress, the way she made his son laugh, the way she didn't care about the mess, the way she looked at Liam as if he wasn't different at all. It was such a simple thing, but it meant everything. For the rest of the day, Ethan couldn't focus on his meetings or calls. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the bright colors on that apron and his son's laughter echoing in his head. He realized something painful, yet clear: he had given his son everything money could buy, except the one thing that mattered most: joy. That night, as he tucked Liam into bed, the boy held his favorite toy car close and murmured, "Daddy, can we go back there again?" Ethan smiled softly. "We will, buddy. I promise." And as he turned off the light, he made a silent promise to himself to stop rushing through life and start noticing the small, beautiful things. Because sometimes, all it took to bring color into someone's world was a single act of kindness, and a waitress who didn't mind a few paint stains. The next day, the sky was cloudy, and a cool wind blew through the streets. Ethan parked his car near the same little diner. Liam was sitting in the back seat, tapping his fingers on the window and smiling. "Are we going to see Maya again?" he asked softly. Ethan nodded. "Yes, buddy. I thought we'd stop by for lunch again." Wasn't sure why he'd chosen to come back. He told himself it was because Liam had liked the pancakes, but deep down, he knew it was more than that. Something about that waitress, Maya, the way she treated his son, the way she brought light into a simple moment, had stayed in his mind all night as they stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled again. The smell of coffee and baked pie filled the air. Maya was behind the counter, tying her apron. When she looked up and saw them, her face lit up with a smile. "Well, if it isn't my favorite artist," she said, waving to Liam. "Back for round 2? Liam grinned shyly and nodded. "Hi, Maya." Ethan smiled too. It felt strange how comfortable this place suddenly felt, like they belonged there. Maya led them to the same booth near the window, the one with a small view of the busy street. She poured Ethan a cup of coffee without asking, remembering from yesterday. "You two made my day yesterday," she said. "That apron, I tried washing it, but I couldn't do it. The colors made me happy." Liam giggled. "You kept it?" "Of course," she said proudly. "Now it's my lucky apron. I'm thinking of adding more colors to it. Maybe you can help." Ethan chuckled under his breath. "I think he'd like that." Maya winked at Liam. Then it settled. "But first, pancakes or waffles today?" "Pancakes?" Liam said quickly. "Good choice," she said, and hurried off to the kitchen, her shoes squeaking slightly on the floor. Ethan watched her go, noticing again how her uniform was faded. Her hair a little messy, but her energy filled the whole place. She seemed like someone who carried sunshine around. Even on cloudy days, while waiting for the food, Liam took out a small toy car from his pocket and rolled it across the table. It hit Ethan's phone, which he had just pulled out to check messages. Ethan sighed, put the phone down, and smiled. "Guess I deserved that," he said softly. When Maya returned with their plates, she placed them down with a flourish. "All right, artist and assistant, your masterpieces are served." Liam laughed, cutting into his pancakes. His syrup dripped everywhere, but Maya didn't mind. She pulled out a napkin and wiped his chin gently like she'd known him forever. Ethan sat quietly, his coffee forgotten, watching every small detail. After a few minutes, Maya came back carrying a few small ketchup caps filled with different sauces: ketchup, mustard, blueberry jam, and chocolate syrup. She set them down in front of Liam like tiny paint pots. "What's that?" Ethan asked, curious. "Paint?" she said with a playful smile. "The edible kind." Liam's eyes grew wide. "Can I paint again?" "Of course," she said, holding out her apron. "This space right here needs more color. What do you think, blue or red today?" Liam dipped his little spoon into the jam and made a streak across her apron. It looked messy, but Maya laughed. "Perfect. You're a natural." Ethan immediately reached for napkins. "I'm sorry," he didn't mean. Maya stopped him with a gentle look. "Please, don't. It's fine. Let him have fun." She crouched beside Liam, showing him how to dip the spoon carefully and dab the apron without spilling too much. Soon there were colorful stains of jam and chocolate everywhere. A couple at a nearby table watched, whispering, but Maya didn't even glance their way. She was focused only on Liam. Liam was giggling so hard his shoulders shook. "It's pretty," he said, pointing at the colors. "It is," Maya said softly. "You're making art, Liam. You know, art doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to make people feel something." Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. He hadn't heard anyone talk to his son like that, like he was capable, like he mattered. Most people just gave polite smiles and awkward glances, but Maya saw his son differently. She saw the joy inside him that Ethan had almost forgotten was there. Maya straightened up and looked at Ethan. "You know, I used to paint when I was younger. Haven't done it in a long time. Life gets busy." Ethan nodded quietly. "Yeah, I know how that feels." She smiled, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Kids remind you to slow down. They don't care about time or messes, they just care about fun." Liam clapped his hands when he saw a bright purple mix appear on her apron. "It's magic." "Sure is," Maya said. "Want to sign it?" Artists always sign their work. She handed him a napkin and a pen. Liam carefully drew a small heart and his name Liam at the bottom of her apron. The letters were shaky, uneven. But when he finished, he looked so proud that Ethan had to blink back tears. "Now it's official," Maya said, showing him the signature. "I'm wearing the only Liam original in the world." Everyone nearby smiled. Even the old man at the counter clapped quietly. Maya bowed dramatically, making Liam laugh even harder. Ethan leaned back and laughed too, something inside him loosening for the first time in months. When they finished lunch, Maya cleaned up the table, humming softly to herself. Ethan noticed her shoes again. They were scuffed and torn at the sides. Her hands were rough from work, and yet she treated every customer like they were family. She didn't seem to care about herself much, just about others, as they stood to leave. Maya waved at Liam. "Hey, artist, don't forget every masterpiece deserves a sequel. You'll have to come back and finish the apron." Liam's face lit up. "Can I really?" "You better," she said. "My apron's waiting for you," Ethan smiled. "Thank you, Maya, for being so kind." She shrugged, brushing a bit of jam from her apron. Kindness doesn't cost anything, right? As Ethan helped Liam back into the car, he couldn't stop thinking about that line. Kindness doesn't cost anything. Yet what it gave was priceless. Driving away, he looked in the rearview mirror and saw Liam still smiling, holding a crayon that Maya had slipped into his hand before they left. "Daddy," Liam said. "She said I'm an artist." Ethan's throat tightened. "You are, buddy. Liam nodded proudly. Maya said, "Art makes people happy." "Did it make you happy?" Ethan looked at his son's reflection and then back at the road. "Yeah," he said softly. "It really did." The rest of the drive, Liam hummed and waved his crayon like a magic wand. Ethan glanced at him again and again, wondering how a woman who had so little could give so much in such a short time. When they reached home, Ethan carried Liam inside and set him on the couch. As his son played with his toy cars, Ethan sat at his desk, staring at his laptop, but his thoughts weren't on business. They were still in that diner, still hearing Maya's laugh, still seeing his son's joy. He realized something that unsettled him deeply. He had all the money, power, and success anyone could dream of. Yet none of it had ever made his son smile like that. All it took was a waitress with paint on her apron and kindness in her heart. As the evening light faded, Ethan made a silent promise to himself. He didn't know how yet, but he wanted to do something for that girl, something that would show her she had changed more than just an afternoon. She had changed how a father saw his son, and somewhere far away. In a little diner that was closing for the night, Maya hung her apron on a hook, still stained with bright colors. She smiled at it, her eyes warm. "Good job today, artist," she whispered to herself as if Liam could hear her. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. He kept turning in bed, his thoughts circling back to the same scene, the small diner. The laughter of his son and the young waitress with paint stains on her apron. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Liam's smile and heard his little giggle as he painted on Maya's apron. It had been such a simple moment, but it felt like something deep had shifted inside him. He got up and walked to Liam's room. The boy was sleeping peacefully, his small hands holding the crayon Maya had given him. Ethan stood in the doorway for a while, just watching him. There was a calmness on Liam's face that Ethan rarely saw. It was as if the child's worries had melted away, replaced by something bright and warm. Ethan realized that he had spent years focusing on therapy schedules and treatments, but he had forgotten about simple joy. In the morning, he sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at his laptop. An email from his business partner blinked on the screen, but he didn't open it. His mind was somewhere else. For years, he had believed that money could fix anything. He had built a successful company, owned properties, cars, and investments. But no amount of money had ever brought that kind of happiness to his son. A waitress with worn-out shoes had done more for Liam's heart in one afternoon than he ever had. Later that week, Ethan decided to take Liam back to the diner again. It was becoming a habit now, one that felt comforting. When they entered, Maya was wiping a table, her hair pulled into a loose braid. She turned around and smiled instantly. "Well, look who it is," she said, waving. "My favorite artist and his very serious-looking assistant." Liam giggled, tugging on his father's sleeve. Ethan couldn't help but laugh. "You might be right," he said. "He's definitely the boss here." Maya guided them to their usual booth. She poured coffee for Ethan and brought out a small cup of milk for Liam without even asking. "So," she said playfully, "what's on today's menu? Are pancakes?" "Both," Liam said proudly. "That's my boy." She laughed and went to get their order. Ethan watched her as she moved around the diner. She seemed to know everyone, old regulars, kids, tired workers. She called them by name, asked about their days, and remembered the little details. When she finally brought their food, Ethan noticed that she looked tired, though her smile hid it well. There were faint dark circles under her eyes. The sleeves of her shirt were rolled up to cover small paint stains between serving other customers. Maya stopped to chat with them. She told Liam about a mural she wanted to paint on the side of the diner someday. "Big bright colors," she said, waving her hands. "Something that makes people smile when they pass by." Liam's eyes lit up. "Can I help?" "Of course," she said. "Every artist needs a partner." Ethan smiled, but noticed how her voice softened when she talked about painting. It wasn't just a hobby for her. It was a dream. A dream she probably had to set aside because life had other plans. When she went to the counter, Ethan overheard her talking to another waitress. "I picked up the evening shift again," Maya said quietly. "I've got to make rent this month, and my sister's school fees are due soon." Ethan's hand froze on his coffee cup. He hadn't meant to listen, but the words hit him. He looked at her again. She couldn't be older than 27 or 28, yet she was working nonstop. And still, she had smiled through every shift, every tired step, and every challenge. He remembered how she'd told Liam that art didn't have to be perfect. It just had to make people feel something. Maybe that's what she did every day without realizing it. After they finished eating, Liam leaned against Ethan's arm and whispered, "Daddy, Maya said she wants to go to art school. Can she go?" Ethan looked down at his son. "How did you know that?" "She told me yesterday," Liam said simply. "She said she can't go yet, but one day she will." "I think she's really good at painting," Ethan smiled sadly. "Yeah, I think so too." As Maya came over with the bill, Ethan noticed the tired look in her eyes. "You've been working a lot, haven't you?" he asked. She shrugged lightly. "Yeah, a bit. My little sister just started high school, so it's busy, but it's okay. I like being here." Her words were calm, but there was a quiet weariness behind them. Ethan nodded, unsure what to say. He wanted to tell her she deserved more than this, that someone as kind as her shouldn't have to struggle. But he also didn't want to sound like a rich man trying to fix someone's life with money. So he said nothing. Liam suddenly said, "Maya, you can paint my room if you want." She laughed. "Your room, huh? What color are we thinking?" "Blue, with stars," Liam said. "And maybe a big sun." That sounds perfect," she said softly. "You've got good taste, artist." Ethan felt his throat tighten again. It was incredible how icily she made his son feel special. To everyone else, Liam was different. But to her, he was just a little boy who liked colors and pancakes. After they left the diner, Ethan drove in silence for a while. Liam was looking out the window, humming softly. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Maya, her old shoes, her patched apron, her dreams of painting, and how she kept smiling through it all. He thought about his own life, how full it was of things but empty of meaning. He realized he had been so focused on making money that he'd forgotten what happiness even looked like. And now, sitting beside his son, he saw it in the smallest moments, the laughter in that diner, the bright streaks of jam on a waitress's apron. That evening, when Ethan tucked Liam into bed, the boy looked up at him and said, "Daddy, Maya made colors again today." Ethan smiled softly. "Yeah, she did." Liam yawned. "She makes everything happy." Ethan brushed the boy's hair and whispered, "She does, doesn't she?" Then he kissed his forehead and walked out quietly. But instead of going to his room, Ethan went straight to his study and opened his laptop. He typed something in the search bar at schools near Millie's diner. Dozens of results popped up. He scrolled through them, reading about tuition fees and scholarships. It struck him how little it would cost him to change someone's life. He could spend that amount on a business lunch without even thinking about it. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. Maybe this was the universe's way of reminding him that not all wealth was money. Some people were rich in kindness, and he had just met one of them. That night, Ethan made a decision. He didn't know exactly how yet, but he wanted to do something for Maya, not out of pity, but out of gratitude. She had brought color into his son's world, and maybe, without realizing it, she had brought color back into his own too. As he turned off the light, he smiled faintly to himself. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like a busy businessman trying to manage life. He felt like a father one who had just learned what really mattered. The following Saturday, Ethan decided it was time to take Liam back to the diner again. He wanted his son to experience that joy once more, but there was another reason too. Over the past week, he couldn't stop thinking about Maya. Her kindness, her patience, and the way she treated Liam had touched him in a way that nothing else had. He felt a quiet need to understand her better, to see the person behind that apron and warm smile. Liam was buzzing with excitement in the back seat. "Daddy, are we going to see Maya? I want to paint her apron more," he said, his small hands gripping the seatbelt. Ethan smiled. "Yes, buddy. She'll be waiting for you." When they entered the diner, Maya looked up from a table she was wiping. The faint paint stains on her apron caught Ethan's eye again. The apron had become a kind of symbol, now a sign of her warmth, her creativity, and her openness to life. She spotted them, and her face lit up. Double quotes. "Well, if it isn't my favorite artist," she exclaimed, waving enthusiastically. "I was hoping you two would come back." Liam grinned and ran to her. Ethan followed slowly, trying to take in every detail. He noticed her tired eyes again, the worn edges of her apron, and the faint scuff marks on her shoes. Despite it all, her smile never faltered. She guided them to their usual booth. "All right, pancakes or waffles today?" she asked Liam, handing him a crayon like a baton. "Pancakes," Liam answered eagerly, his eyes sparkling. Ethan watched silently, his heart warming. He felt something shift inside him again, seeing his son so happy, so comfortable. Made him want to do more than just sit and watch. As Maya went to fetch their food, Ethan's gaze followed her. There was a quiet strength in the way she moved, a confidence that came not from wealth or recognition, but from kindness and purpose. He began to notice small things he had missed before. The way she greeted every customer by name, the way she asked about their families, and the way she genuinely listened to their answers. She carried herself with a sense of pride that had nothing to do with money. When she returned with their plates, she set them down carefully and looked at Liam. "Your turn, artist? Ready to add more color to the masterpiece?" "Yes," Liam shouted, clapping his hands. She crouched beside him and offered a handful of condiments in small cups. "Ketchup, mustard, chocolate syrup, and jam. Pick your favorite colors, and let's make some magic." She said. Liam dipped a small spoon into the chocolate syrup and gently spread it across her apron. Ethan watched as the streaks of brown mixed with yesterday's colors. It was messy, chaotic, but beautiful. Liam's laughter filled the diner again, and Ethan felt a strange mixture of pride and gratitude. Maya smiled warmly. "See, art isn't about perfection. It's about feeling." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. She was teaching his son something more valuable than any lesson or therapy. She was showing him that creativity, joy, and self-expression mattered. As the lunch went on, Ethan found himself asking her questions. "You've been working here a long time?" Maya shrugged. "A couple of years. Helps pay the bills, and I get to meet interesting people every day. At art school?" Ethan asked cautiously. She looked down at the table for a moment, then back up at him. "I'd love to go one day, but I have responsibilities. My little sister, rent, all that. Art school feels like a luxury I can't afford right now." Ethan nodded slowly. Her honesty struck him deeply. Here was someone with talent, heart, and dreams, yet she struggled to make ends meet. And still, she radiated kindness and joy. It made him reflect on his own life, on how easy it was for him to take his wealth for granted. After Liam finished painting, Maya straightened up and looked at Ethan. "You know, he's really talented." "He has an artist's heart," she said softly. Ethan smiled, but felt a pang of regret. "I should have realized that sooner," he admitted quietly. "I've been so focused on schedules, treatments, and everything else. I forgot how important moments like these are." Maya's expression softened. "Sometimes people just need to notice, and I'm glad I got to meet him." Ethan felt an unexpected warmth spread through him. He realized that Maya wasn't just helping Liam. She was teaching him something too, how to slow down, how to appreciate joy, and how to see the world through the eyes of a child. When they were ready to leave, Ethan reached for his wallet to pay the bill. Maya shook her head. "Don't worry about it. Consider it a gift from me to your little artist." Ethan paused, surprised. "A gift?" "Yes," she said, smiling. "For sharing your son with me? It made my day brighter." Liam hugged her apron tightly before Ethan helped him into the car. "Bye, Maya," he said. "Bye, artist. Can't wait to see you again," she called, waving. As Ethan drove away, he couldn't stop thinking about her words. She had given so much, yet she asked for nothing in return. Her life was full of challenges, but she had chosen kindness, creativity, and love. It made him think about his own choices, his priorities, and the way he wanted to raise his son. That night, back at home, Ethan sat at his desk long after Liam had fallen asleep. He opened his laptop and began searching for art schools, scholarships, and programs near the diner. He read about tuition, expenses, and opportunities for young artists. He realized that it wouldn't take much to give someone like Maya a chance to pursue her dream. For hours, he thought about the impact she had on Liam, on him, and on the simple moments of life. A single afternoon had changed so much, made his son laugh, reminded him of what really mattered, and shown him the power of genuine kindness. As he turned off the light and glanced at Liam sleeping peacefully, he felt a strong determination rise inside him. He wanted to help Maya not as a wealthy businessman trying to fix someone's life, but as a father who had seen the beauty she brought into his child's world, somewhere far away. Maya hung her apron on a hook, still streaked with colors from Liam's playful creativity. She smiled at it, as if sensing the unseen ripple of change she had created in a small corner of the world. And somewhere, Ethan was planning quietly, knowing that the next visit to the diner would be more than just pancakes and painting. It might be the start of something life-changing for all of them. Weeks passed since Ethan and Liam had last visited the diner, but neither of them could stop thinking about Maya. For Liam, it was the colors, the laughter, and the magic of painting on her apron. For Ethan, it had become something deeper. He couldn't shake the feeling that Maya deserved more than the long hours and low pay she worked for. He had seen how her kindness had lit up his son's world, and he knew he wanted to give back, to make a difference in her life. One Friday morning, Ethan called Liam over as he sipped his coffee. "Buddy, do you want to go on a little adventure today?" Liam's eyes lit up. "Yes." "Are we going to see Maya?" Ethan smiled. "We are. But today it might be a bit different." When they arrived at the diner, Maya was setting tables, humming softly to herself. The moment she saw them, her face brightened. "My favorite artists," she called out, waving enthusiastically. Liam ran to her and gave her a small, shy hug. Ethan followed slowly, his hands slightly trembling. Today he felt a mix of nerves and excitement. He wanted to do something big, something meaningful. Maya led them to their usual booth. She poured coffee for Ethan and milk for Liam, smiling warmly. "So, what's on today's menu? Pancakes, waffles, or maybe a little art?" "Both," Liam said immediately, holding up the crayon proudly. Maya laughed. "All right, let's see what masterpiece we can create today." As Liam began painting small streaks on her apron, Ethan watched quietly. He had rehearsed his words in his mind for days, thinking about how to explain what he wanted to do without embarrassing her. Finally, when Liam was focused on the colors, Ethan cleared his throat. "Maya," he began, "I've been thinking about how much you've done for Liam, the way you treat him. The way you make him smile, it means more than I can say." Maya looked up slightly surprised. "Oh, thank you," she said softly. Ethan took a deep breath. "I know you've been working hard, and you've told me about your dream of going to art school. I want to help you. I want to make that dream possible." Maya blinked, unable to speak for a moment. Her eyes widened in disbelief. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything right now," Ethan said gently. "I've already arranged everything. The tuition, the supplies, everything you need to focus on your art, if you want." Liam looked between them, confused. "Daddy, what's happening?" Ethan smiled at his son. "Maya's going to school to be an artist, just like she wants." Liam's eyes grew wide. "Really?" Maya's hands trembled slightly as she wiped at her eyes. I can't believe this," she said. Her voice broke, and she took a deep breath. "I've dreamed about this for so long, but I never thought it could happen." Ethan shook his head. "You've worked hard, helped my son, and inspired both of us. It's the least I could do." Liam jumped up and hugged Maya again. "I'm so happy. You can paint everything you want." She laughed through her tears, holding him close. "Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Ethan." For the next few minutes, they sat together in silence, the little diner filled with an unspoken happiness. Ethan realized that this simple act, helping someone follow their dream, was more fulfilling than any business deal, any meeting, or any luxury he had ever had. Over the following weeks, Ethan and Liam visited Maya often. He watched as she began preparing for art school, gathering supplies and practicing new techniques. She shared her ideas for a future art studio, a place where children like Liam could come and paint freely. Her excitement was infectious. Ethan found himself more engaged with his son than ever before. One afternoon, as Maya unpacked a box of paints, Liam looked up at Ethan. "Daddy, can we paint too?" Ethan smiled. "Of course, buddy. Today, we're all artists." They spent the afternoon in the diner, painting small murals on large sheets of paper. Ethan noticed that he wasn't thinking about work, deadlines, or money. For the first time in a long while, he was simply present. He laughed at Liam's messy strokes and marveled at Maya's careful technique. The three of them shared jokes, stories, and moments that would become memories for a lifetime. Maya's studio dreams slowly became more concrete. Ethan offered additional support to help her rent a small space in town. She found a quiet little room with big windows, perfect for children to paint and explore their creativity. Liam was the first to arrive, carrying his crayons and paintbrushes. "Eager to start? You get to choose the first colors," Maya said, kneeling beside him. "Red, and blue, and yellow." Liam shouted. They spent hours painting, laughing, and experimenting with textures and patterns. Ethan stood back, watching the scene unfold. He realized that this wasn't just about art or school, it was about building a community, giving children a space to feel joy and freedom, and creating something meaningful. Months later, the little studio officially opened. Maya's name was painted in bright letters above the door, and the walls inside were covered with colorful murals. Children of all abilities came in, laughing and painting alongside Liam and Ethan. The small town had never seen anything like it. Parents watched with amazement as their children explored colors and shapes without fear or judgment. Ethan often stayed, helping wherever he could. But he also learned from Maya, seeing how she nurtured creativity and confidence in every child. He realized that her kindness had not only changed his son's world, but it also reshaped his own understanding of happiness, purpose, and generosity. One evening, as the sun set and the last children left, Maya, Ethan, and Liam sat on small stools in the studio. Maya wiped a brush clean, her apron now covered in new paint streaks. "Thank you," she said softly, looking at Ethan. "I never thought my dream could come true so soon." Ethan shook his head, smiling. "No, thank you. You showed my son how to laugh, how to create, and how to feel joy. That's worth more than anything." Liam leaned against Maya, holding a small paintbrush. "Can we paint tomorrow too?" Maya laughed, ruffling his hair. "Of course, artist. Tomorrow we paint again." Ethan watched the two of them and felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. Money, success, and luxury had never brought him this fulfillment. It had taken a single act of kindness, a few paint stains on an apron, and the courage of a young waitress to show him the true value of life as they closed the studio for the night. Ethan realized that sometimes the smallest gestures could change the world. Maya's dream had become real, Liam's laughter had grown brighter, and Ethan had discovered a depth of love and joy he had almost forgotten. Driving home that evening, Liam fell asleep in the back seat, a crayon tucked safely in his hand. Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror at his son, smiling quietly. He thought about the journey they had taken from a simple diner lunch to an art studio filled with children, laughter, and colors. He knew one thing for certain: life's true wealth was not money, but the moments of love, kindness, and joy we give to others. And in helping Maya follow her dream, Ethan had found something more valuable than anything he had ever owned: a heart full of gratitude, a son full of happiness, and a world made brighter by the courage to care. The studio became a place of magic, a place where children like Liam could explore, create, and feel accepted. And every time Maya put on her now famous paint-stained apron, she remembered that it all began with a little boy, a caring father, a simple act of kindness that had changed all their lives forever.